Good morning, Vietnam. How's it going, everybody? This is Frank Spicer, co-founder, CEO of Metafied on Metafied Spaces, Thursday, August 21st, 4:01 p.m. Eastern Time. And with me, I have the great Matt Cross, co-founder and chief business development officer. Welcome, everyone. We also got Roaming and Radio Frog out there. If one of them wants to step up on the stage here with us, just make a request. And I see some familiar faces out there as we get ready to head into the launch of Surge, and our long march to TGE is coming to fruition. So looking pretty good. Just run through the markets real quick. Bitcoin is gasping for its life as it's holding 112, slipping back into the 111s. It's probably the end of the world, or everybody should just chill the hell out and realize that it's up 81.8% year over year and relax because there's no other asset that's done that in the past year. So just be cool, and it's going to come back, just like we always say. Just like we said when it was 77, that it's a buying opportunity. And actually, my 2 cents on this before we bring Matt in is that this looks like one of those manufactured attempts to push the price lower and shake retail out of it, because it looked like retail was getting a little too grabby and trying to come back into it. Don't fall for it. I'm not. I'm going to keep buying. So do what you got to do. But I think this is good chance for you to have some when everybody else is trying to shake retail out to go for another run. So how's it going, Matt? How you feeling today?
Doing good, just we've been busy every single day, making sure we can get everything out on time, going through a test for another test and another test, and things have been looking great. Our partnership conversations have been going well, so everything's good in my world.
Yeah, I was up working last night till about 1. Got up around 5:15 and started over this morning, but feels good. It feels good. We're coming to, we're coming to just about time. We'll, we're just a few days out now, so I don't want to give a specific date until we send it out and let everybody know. But there's a lot going on, and the spot on portion of Surge is coming together nicely. We have a great mobile and desktop version. We're going to have a swap mechanism in there so that people can port their tokens over from Mantle with certain conditions, but fairly good deal for everybody over there. I think they'll be happy. And just looking at supporting partner chains and getting that all dialed in, make sure the payouts are nice and crispy, and that everybody's going to be happy with the experience. I know I've had a lot of fun building it, and it's starting to come together really good. So as far as like the topic of the day, the Surge beta, Matt, anything that you want to share as we kick it off?
I would say for the Surge beta, we're going to be coming out with Spot On, which is our premier game, which is where you want to predict the price of an asset before the end of a 1-minute interval. So you want to say, hey, where's the price going to go? We made it super simple, just point and shoot. The earlier, always the better. And it's, I've been showing it to so many people, and the responses are always overwhelming. I always get, we've not seen anything like this in the market currently. This is going to be amazing. It's hot. Everybody's excited about it. They said, oh, this is a great evolution of predictions markets, and I couldn't be more proud of what we've been able to build.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And not just the 1-minute interval, right? We're going to be able to do a 24-hour window on BTC too. So there's going to be a giant game once a day. Same thing. You get 5 chances to play in the 24-hour period. You could play them all in the beginning, spread them out. You could be like Radio Frog over there and be a habitual line rider. But yeah, you can play it a bunch of different ways. It's going to be fun.
It's
well said, Matt. I agree. I'm glad that you mentioned that. I'm just saying. I think we have the 1 minute and the 24-hour game. We also have, for the testers in this phase, the chance to play NVIDIA, right? So you'd be 1 minute NVIDIA and then a full market session of NVIDIA, which is 6.5 hours for the workaholics down at the stock exchange. So you'll be able to play a 6.5 hour window of market hours for NVIDIA, which we just played today. And it's a lot of fun. I mean, I think the NVIDIA game, you start to get used to that asset too. And it has its own patterns too. I don't know if you started to pick those up. I'm sure we could discuss it with Yeti if you were here, but like it definitely moves like it's definitely moving differently than BTC, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, the price fluctuation is definitely a lot less than something like BTC, which is moving maybe a couple $100 in the day. You know, we're talking about a couple dollars of movement here, but we've allowed you guys to get more granular in your predictions so that you still get a great moving line and having a fun time doing it. But I always laugh too when we deal with the real world assets because you look at the market hours and the markets in the US open at 9:30 and close at 4 o'clock, and it's 6.5 hours. And I'm like, oh man, you know, crypto traders are running circles around traditional guys. You know, we do 24-hour markets all day long, and you know, we're constantly pulling our hair out or not sleeping. It seems like some of these you know, the guys in traditional markets have it easy.
Well, that's funny that you mentioned that, and not to get too much off on a sidetrack, but once these assets start becoming tokenized and you could trade them um, on the blockchain, there's no reason that those markets need to be, 9:30 to 4, right? And that's going to change the entire world of equities trading. Like once that happens, and the Genius and Clarity Acts allow for that, right? So it's it's going to be considerably different. Like the money goes from moving, Monday to Friday, minus holidays, minus whatever banking stuff that they decided to take a day off for, and now all of a sudden, minus market stops, minus, you know, like all of a sudden, you're going to have people that are transacting these assets in fractional amounts all over the world 24/7. So the velocity of money is about to change, which like a lot of times when people ask you like, well, what can crypto do better than traditional, right? Obviously, you have the ledger. You can see who's owned it before. You can trace ownership. You can map compliance all on one signature. There's a bunch of really great reasons, but this is really going to change things quite a bit because you're going to get things in the market. Like if there is a stop loss, like sort of hard stop to a market, and the market locks up, the tokenized asset is still going to keep trading. And what could happen is, like, say, you know, Berkshire Hathaway stock gets dumped, and the market locks up so that not too much runs off the exchange. The tokenized asset out there trading in Web three, it's still going to do price discovery and it's still going to find a floor because you're not going to. That's the thing about a decentralized market. Once you put a real world asset out there, now it's going to go find a floor, and you could see something where thousands of dollars runs off the price of an asset on the on chain trading, but the markets themselves have been locked and try to fix the price at a certain amount. Um, in which case, they could get dragged down by what happens in the crypto markets. The crypto markets could wind up leading, especially in terms of price discovery, what happens on the regular markets. Same thing when something's on a run and people try to drop news at the end of the day at 4 o'clock. That's going to be hilarious when the market closes and somebody drops earnings news to try to build hype for the next day, and the tokenized assets go and soak it all up, and they go out there and the price jumps in the tokenized asset, and the market has to catch up to it the next day. That's going to piss off a whole bunch of people who couldn't buy it when they were looking at traditional markets. But if they were like the people here in this audience, they'll have a chance to go out and buy it, and things are gonna be real different a year from now. I think it's not just a time to be doing what we're doing, but it's a time to be in Web three. And like the conversation you had last week, it's better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission, right? In building a lot of this stuff, because it has to get built, and it should get built. It should get built by people that are at the front now. We shouldn't wait for committees of bankers to come in and try to tell us how it's done. So, um, yeah. So as far as Surge goes, right, the way you'll be able to get into the game is, first and foremost, we're going to take care of our good folks that have been with us from the days of the contest, the AI contest at Mantle. There's going to be a really smooth mechanism to port your tokens over. Um, you'll have that. You'll be able to swap in the native token for the chains we support, USDC and USDT. And we're working on eventually during the course of the beta to be able to swap in ETH and wrap Bitcoin as well. So that might not be available right at the beginning, but we'll have it as soon as we finish a bunch of testing. So there'll be a really smooth swap mechanism, and the way you'll be able to get it is through coming to Metafied.io and coming in that way. So that'll be really clean. You'll basically step through a wizard to get it. It'll feel native to what you're used to. And then we're going to allow people to buy small amounts of it once they're accepted to the wait list. And the great thing about buying is you get it cheap at the pre-list price, but you won't have to do anything to unlock it. It'll just be yours. So anything you buy on the way in is just going to be yours, right? And is exempt from any sort of playthrough requirements that are on any other token. So you buy it, that's yours. I think that's actually, sorry, you're gonna have to play it in the game, but you'll be able to withdraw it once you do. I actually think I misspoke on that. Like what we don't want to have happen is somebody who comes through, invites himself or herself 500,000 times and buys $10 worth of the asset, and then just makes off with it at a discount price. So I actually misspoke on that. I think I was trying to find a way for people to just come in and buy whatever they want, but then I thought maybe not everybody's as good of a person as I'm giving them credit for, and they're going to try to run off with it. So there will be some restrictions, actually. My mistake. And we'll announce those when you come in. So I saw roaming out there probably having a heart attack, and I just it's like, how are we going to explain this? But yeah, we did have to wind up putting some restrictions on because one, we want to offer to the people playing the game in the community that they get the value. It's not just people taking our stuff and then going and making a market for it as it takes off and grabbing all the supply and not being able to share it with the real users and people who have supported the project. So that's right. That's why we did it that way. So, okay.
There's always a ton of bots in crypto, and there's
I always forget about just like somebody's gonna do it, and then once this one person does it, because if we didn't put the restriction on it, we'd sell out the first day in the first couple minutes, right? Like, so we wouldn't have anybody to come in and get us, especially like say there's somebody in the beta group that comes in and they want to get $10 today and $10 tomorrow, and they're just like chipping away at it. We don't want to take that out of their hands. Those are the people we want in the game. Like, we don't want a bunch of bots making pools adjacent to Binance or whatever. Like, we want to be able to like take care of our people. But I will say there's not a whole lot to get either. So we're not going to be putting a ton up because we want the people in the game to be the people that are basically the origination of the fight into the system. It's not to say we wouldn't, like, we have market makers that are going to smooth the markets out and be responsible, but it does, like, I don't, Matt, you feel the same way. We talked about this a bunch before, but we don't want a whole bunch of FIDE floating around in the beginning for a dump risk or people to hoard it from everybody else, so the players can't get it at a reasonable price. So And we're good on financing, so it's not like we need to raise a ton of money or something like that. So it's like whatever is the right thing to do for the community is the thing that we got to do here. So
Yeah, we just want to have the best outcome for the token. We don't want to create a large dump risk to where the token price drops at the start and then everybody leaves the project because they're like, oh, the token is going down. And that usually leaves a bad taste in everybody's mouth. So we want to
yeah,
show people, growth the entire time throughout this. So people really believe in what we're doing.
yeah, yeah. There's no reason for us to sell a ton of it. You know, obviously, if for some reason, I mean, we're going to limit the size of the beta, so that doesn't. What I was going to say doesn't even apply. We're only going to let a certain amount of people in. So, um, and it's not to say if you don't get in the beta, and I'm pretty sure pretty much everybody out in the audience here is going to be able to get in. I think, I'm pretty sure they're already whitelisted. Um, but if you're not in the initial wave, it doesn't mean you can't get in. Right as it opens up, which will be soon after too. We're not going to be in beta for forever. So just make sure you're in the community, in the Discord community, and follow that along. And there'll be ways to get in there. That's going to be the best way to be invited in. Um, Make sure you're on the wait list, surge.metafi.io, and then make sure that you're following on X so you can get the announcements. But people that have been paying attention to the people that are going to get the rewards. That's what we've always said. So that's what we got to do. What else, Matt? Like we've taken a great deal of care in making sure we didn't repeat the mistakes of some other projects. So along this trip, like what are some of the things we didn't do? Because I know it would have been easy to do some of these things.
Yeah, I mean, we never sold out to these market makers who try to get your token at like a loan and then hit like a certain strike price and then have the ability to purchase it from you at the original loan option. And then they end up dumping your token all on the market and they end up hurting you. Even though it looks like the token's succeeding, really they're creating a trap for users. And then also we haven't given to the exchanges where they tried to hold you at a extremely large token deposit, which you never end up getting back, and then they end up just selling against you to get money out of the system in the first day. So they
Yeah.
just rush your order books with tokens out there. So we've always been good about sticking to our guns and making sure that we have the leverage on our side to create the best deals, and which then creates the best scenarios for the ecosystem.
And what we also didn't do is it's every single person on the Metafi team is subject to a lockup. So we're all locked for 6 months. The market, once it goes up on the general market, I know some people here already will know this, but all of our tokens are locked for 6 months after TGE, and then we unlock 1/24th over the following 24 months after that, so that we go last. Everybody else that comes in through the front door helped us create the community, helped us create the game. We have to build on the success of it, and we get ours 6 months after everything opens up for business. So we can't. The team's not dumping against anybody. Like we will. Our people won't even have custody of them. They won't even have the ability to do that. And I think people should demand that more often. I mean, we've seen teams do some pretty shisty, weird stuff to get tokens. Um, we didn't we didn't go that route. Everybody's locked up for 6 months, so I feel like we're pretty well covered, and we took care of the community and the investors on that one. Also, our investors are only small fraction of their tokens are unlocked at go live. So it's not like people are going to be competing to uh, dump against the VCs or whatever either, which is another thing that we see a lot. So I feel like that part is pretty fair. I think that we've handled that okay. And then maybe the other thing that we didn't do, Matt, um, is we didn't tie up we're going to build some staking pools, but for a different reason. But we didn't tie up a lot of stuff that's going to come unlock at the same time and then flood the market. So we didn't build in any sort of cascading, bear traps like into what we're doing, which would have been easy and would have been one of those things. But a lot of projects do that to get TVL, and everybody brags about TVL. But really, what they're trying to do is trying to soak up some of the nonsense that they did with airdrops, where they just gave it away to a bunch of people just to say they have users because they don't have a product. We actually went and did the crazy thing and built the product first, then rolled the token out over it. So it's another case of us doing it the long way, but it actually is the right thing to do.
Yeah, I think that's our main motto, right? Like, do everything the right way from the start. There's no other option to do it, even though it might be the more difficult path. Let's always take that path and get it done because it's something we're going to have to think about later. And, we've always just stuck to the same mentality: what's best for the community, what's best for the project. And regardless of what anyone said to us, we've never wavered away from that.
Yeah, it would have been kind of nice to have sold out a couple of those places though, but not really us, not our thing. And there's actually too many good people at Metafy that wouldn't go for it. So um, yeah, so just to recap, uh, where where uh, where you can get them, you could just go to Metafy.io once you get the initial welcome, and you'll be able to step through there and come through the game to get going. You'll get a link if you're invited in, and then that link will allow you to swap the tokens if you have them in the eligible cases. You'll be able to bring some USDC or USDT from other chains to swap in, and like I said, eventually ETH and Wrap Bitcoin. Um, and then you'll be able to, re-up uh, as long as there's stuff available to have. Once we hit the cap, we're not letting anybody else have any more in the beta, um, because we don't want to. We don't want to, like, again, we want to sell too much in the beta because we just want people to have fun playing the game. We don't, and obviously we want our early supporters to have cheap tokens compared to where we think it's headed. But at the same time, like, we're not trying to raise a whole bunch of money. We don't need it. So it's just us for the whole thing is just to be like, oh, this is awesome. I definitely want to do this. Here's some feedback. Here's what I think it should do. Put some last touches on the game based on community feedback and as it grows, and then just have a really strong opening. Like, as long as we do that, then it's a success. Like, it's not like we're trying to just stack up a whole bunch of tokens and then disappear. So um, am I leaving anything out? Yeah, just make sure you're registered at the waitlist, search.metafy.io. Make sure you're following us on the Discord, discord.gg/fi-token. Make sure you find us on Metafy at Metafy, or YouTube at Metafy, and then X is Fied_AI. And yeah, I think that's really it. I mean, we don't have to go too much longer today. I think it's just telling people how to get in is the important part. So the email will be great because we can reach out to you, or if you want to leave an optional phone number, we'll be able to text people as they come in. Not required. But then if you just pay close attention to the Discord and X, you'll be able to find it there. So, but then the notification is coming and very shortly. So I think that's all the important stuff. And then when you get it and it opens up, when the invites open up, invite your friends so that you're at the top of the rewards chain, so that everybody that is in your lineage of invites can contribute to some of you sharing in the rewards, right? Not leave anything out, Matt?
No, I don't think so. I think you got everything pretty well covered. The wait is almost over.
It's I'm ready to do this. It's going to be pretty awesome.
I appreciate everyone sticking in through this with us. We got a lot of frequent supporters on this call right now, and I know I always love seeing your icons show up, and it means the world to us.
Yeah, yeah, man. And then next week we should probably talk a little bit about which partner chains we'll be supporting. So I think we'll be able to be pretty clear about that, and it'll probably surprise a bunch of people. But we've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes to make sure we can be very accommodating, right?
Exactly. Some good
Yeah.
events for everybody.
Yep. All right. So in the meantime, everybody have a good weekend. It's Thursday. Next week's going to be a really big week for Metafied. We look forward to having you on this part of the journey with us because this is about to be the best part. So in the meantime, everybody have fun, be safe, and we'll talk to you on Tuesday next week. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Metafied is the only AI-powered Bitcoin prediction game where traders compete in real time to forecast BTC's price in a fast 1 to 5 minute round. Test your skills against global players. Take on 1x risk with the ability to win multiplied payouts and prize pots. The more accurate and early, the better the outcome. Pre-register now for early access to generational wealth.